success is not opposite of failure. I know the construct of failure to be like you didn't get something right, but there is absolutely no way to have success without something not lining up or being perfect. And that definition, we're just going to rewrite all the dictionaries by the time I'm done here. So maybe you're creating a product and you do it 185 times and 186th is when it succeeds. Well, that's not failure. None of those were failures. Each one gave you more information to change the recipe, change the formula, and then that gave you the information to do it a slightly different way. In those moments of recognition, if you can keep yourself from going to judgment and you can keep your brain from going and getting everybody else's opinion, you will get to feel that feeling of being lit up and proud of yourself and successful. And you won't care that it took 186 tries. You will only care that you got there. Hi, I'm Vicky Baird, and I have created my successful business by helping other people become successful in their own lives. This podcast, Intuition, Your Success Compass, is the tool you've been looking for to find your due north. We all have a soul and we all have an internal knowing. And in this podcast, you will learn to combine what your soul knows, your human self's brilliant intelligence, and the connection to the desire to live a life that is fully successful in whatever that definition is for you. Sound good? Good. Now let's get to it. Well, hi there. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I want to dive into why I called it that and what success even means, at least in my perspective, and maybe to help lighten up some of the pressure that you feel towards achieving success, but also to give a little bit of an insight to what led me to changing it to that name anyway. Since you're listening to this, it's still about intuition. It's still about developing everything that is brilliant about you, which is your intelligence, your humor, your soul, your intuition, your physicality, the whole kit and caboodle, right? And I decided that I wanted to change the name because I kept feeling pulled to the idea of what is it everyone truly wants, whether they're conscious of it or not, whether you're focused on it or not, or whether it's been anything that's been on your radar. I feel like the majority of us humans are designed for that pursuit of success. And I have many notes here that I wrote down about the different perspectives and how you might achieve it in your own way, because that's the very first thing I want to make a big stink about, put some lights around, make it shine. Don't like fireworks because of the animals, but I want to throw some fireworks around this that success is different for everyone. That's one of the things in coaching that I have learned, and it's becoming more and more apparent. And I love that because I love individuality in people. I think it'd be so freaking boring to be here and have everybody be the same, be robotic. I love AI, but I don't want robots in my interactions with people, right? So I believe success is different for everyone because you are wired differently than I am. We have had very different backgrounds, likely. We may have some things in common, but how we live in life and how we see life is going to be very different. And that's beautiful. And I love the fact that we can have this diversity in our world And I love as a coach personally that when I'm working with someone and I'm asking them, well, what does success mean to you? What would it look like when we are coaching you to your greatest success? And I love that it's different. In my practice, I have people who are running their own businesses and who are requiring my help to systematize, to create ways that their business works efficiently and sometimes works without them. That would be the idea of success because then they could pursue other areas in their lives. I have people who are looking to create success within their personal relationships and their communication with themselves and with others. So we very much focus on okay, where are you today? What feels like the next level of communication with yourself first? And then how do we apply that with your kids, with your partner, with your family, with the person at the grocery store? Whomever it is, that skill is most important to that particular client. And I have others who I play or provide rather a role of combination coach, mentor, mama. On some levels, we're talking very fundamentally what are the tasks that need to be completed for you to feel successful? What are the doubts that you're holding? Can we remove some blocks or some messages from the family systems that you had growing up? And sometimes I do come through with that very experience for 35 years now of being a parent with, okay, that sounds like an excuse. That sounds like you pushed everything under your bed and told me the room was clean. We both know that's not true. And it's fine if that's how you want to live, but you're telling me you want to live in a different way. And I feel like it's my role to help you live in that different way. So much like I used to do with my kids, get the broom. We are going to get everything out from underneath that bed and we're going to put it where it belongs. And you are going to feel like you are the most brilliant being possible because you did that and you're no longer lying to yourself about what's under the bed or in the basement or in the shed out back or in the storage unit. That can be emotional. Like a lot of the times it ends up being literal. And we're talking about removing stuff. So I'm grateful that success is different for everyone because if it weren't for that, I would be bored. And I love that for some of the people that I work with, executive level have seen success in their work level life and are now realizing, wow, that's not all I want. I want the whole thing. And we can have the whole thing as long as we identify what it is that success means to us. And the reason I changed the title of the podcast, I was going to dance around it and I was going to have it be something, well, kind of vague, like intuition, your first sense. I had to tell you what that meant, right? Yeah, it wasn't the greatest title, but I loved it when I named it, and then I realized, wow, intuition is in everything, and I love the my intuitive ability to help others create systems and to create success in their life. So when I was thinking about changing the title, I thought, well, what is it that everyone has in common to a certain extent? And it was success. One of the reasons that I went with the success compass is because your intuition will guide you to your success and it will be different because you are different and it will be delightful when you realize what it is that is success for you. And the other thing is, there is enough challenger in me is I want to challenge the definition of success in our society. I want to challenge it from being something that's identified as your achieving wealth, respect, or fame. You are successful if you're an influencer. You're successful if you have a six-figure coaching practice. You're successful if you do own your own business. Well, not everybody wants to own their own stinking business. And to that, I say, fantastic. You are successful in knowing that you don't want to do that. And when I looked up the definition of success, it meant the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. And I also thought, I want to challenge this whole thing that I have to know what my life purpose is in order to be a success. You don't, because we all have the same life purpose. And that is to learn and grow and expand and to eventually not come back in lifetime after lifetime, but rather evolve to a place where we're then helping other humans. So when I named it, I decided that it was going to be both. It was going to be supporting you in the idea of tapping into your intuition and having it be as practical as, creating a shopping list, but also to counter this idea that if you're not successful in what others may deem as success, that you have not lived a life of purpose, and that's just bullpucky. The definition of the accomplishment of an aim or purpose is fantastic because goals are important. You get to feel successful when changing, attaining, or accomplishing a goal because they are going to change, much like your idea of what success in life is going to change. Decades ago, my idea of success was being on that big stage, talking to hundreds of people, impacting their lives, and in that way, in person. And over time, oh, I still want that stage. But my idea has changed. I don't want to be the person that is just filling someone else with ideas. I want it to be interactive. Yes, I want the stage, but I want that stage. I want to be sitting on the edge of the stage with my feet dangling and saying, okay, now what do you know? What do you know? And how can we help each other? And how can it be collaborative? And the goals change because I used to want to travel all the time. And now I'm like, every once in a while would be great. I love my home. I want to be home, and I can affect that change from wherever my buns are. And each time there's an accomplishment of goals, I do feel lit up and I do feel successful. And each time I'm calm and quiet and contemplative, I feel successful there too. So the idea of intuition being your success compass is that it can guide you to what is it in the moment or what is it in this time of your life or how everybody's saying now the season of your life. What is it that feels successful to you now? And great if, income comes with that, fabulous if it doesn't, because we have to get out of this very constructed idea that the money or what that is over there is what's going to make you feel successful. Because I promise you, I work with people who have 100 times my wealth, and the success in that area is not always leading to the success of how they feel about themselves. And oh, that just makes my heart so sad. And that's where I come in and help because I'm like, okay, great. I see that you have 100 times what I'm financially worth, according to the IRS, just filed my taxes. But you know what? My success in loving who I am and knowing who I am and being grateful when there's a challenge to who I am from within, I'll take that over the 100 times wealth. So that's the definition that I'd like to shift about success because I see it firsthand that people have attained all this and yet they're not feeling happy or successful. And it actually can become a pressure there for pushing more and more and more and perhaps getting more disconnected from self. What success is going to be different. And it's going to change constantly in your life. So the idea, I think, of success being connected to how one feels and how you experience life and how you go through life is much more attainable than some of these ideas that I will be successful when, or I will be happy when. You're just putting off your life because you could have success in these beautiful areas of love and relationship. Your health is amazing. You are creativity to the max. You laugh easily. Dogs love you. I mean, come on. That's successful. Oh man, as a little side note, I had to run to the vet this morning and there was a Great Dane. I love Great Danes. And he was there for an eye procedure. And oh my goodness, was he just the epitome of a big old package of ooey gooey softness and sweetness and looking incredibly sad, but that's just because of his eyes. And he was just wonderful. That made it was 8:15 and my day was already successful because I got to love him up and get a little bit of that energy. And he wanted to sit and kind of lean into me. And part of that was because I was doing a little bit of Reiki there. Um, but that's successful, right? That's one of the measurements of my day. Did I love anyone today? Anything? Did I feed the squirrels? Did I appreciate my home? So, however you define success is brilliant. You just keep in mind that it's going to come with a certain level of learning and must come with learning because in order to grow success, in any area of your life, we have to gain knowledge. You have to expand, and that feels uncomfortable at times. So there's this premise or idea of overnight success that has pretty much been bunked because anyone I've ever met who's been accused of that has worked their tail off in whatever it is their avenue of that drew the attention to them, whether it was singing, whether it was business, whether it was creativity, whether it was teaching, dancing. They worked really hard at it. So at times they were uncomfortable. If you're truly challenging being a successful soul in a human body, you will feel uncomfortable at times. So the idea out there that, well, when I'm successful, I will be happy all the time. I mean, we just have to look to some of the people that end up in our entertainment news and such that that's not always the case. And I know we all think we'll do it differently, but fundamentally, we are still cave people and we are still in that fight or flight or survival mode. And that will kick in. And often when I'm working with someone, they'll say, I'm afraid of failing. And I'm like, I don't think so. I feel like you're afraid of success because that success has been shown to us that in order to have success, we always have to be available. We always have to be at this high level of work. And that's not the case. It ebbs and flows. And it's going to be uncomfortable at times. And you may work towards something, arrive in it, and be like, this is not what I thought it was going to feel like. And to which I would say, congratulations, but most people probably wouldn't. Because if you're uncomfortable and you're recognizing that this level of success that I thought was going to make me happy, there is brilliance in that because you tied your happiness to an achievable point. And while I do believe they can travel together, success is not the key to happiness. That's probably a book somewhere, don't you think? Or in a song title. If not, someone needs to run with that and do it. Because when we are uncomfortable, it means we're growing on some level. And it means that we're learning who we are at the next evolution and frequency of our intuition, of our psychicness, of our energy field. And if you shy away from that feeling by saying, I'll feel happy when I'm over there, when I have the success, or opposite. Some people phone it in. Like some people are not trying to succeed at even tying their shoes in the morning. They're doing slip-ons for everything, which fine if that's what you do, but get the analogy here that they can swing the other way. We can have those who I feel are avoiding their own brilliance because some level of fear is there that success has been shown to us to be this heavy lifting and stressful experience. And that's not always the case. I worked with someone a couple weeks ago, and I did mention this to him because it's not true of everyone, but I felt it in him. And he did ask, how come I've tried all these things and they failed? And I said, well, I don't think they failed. You're learning from them. They may not have turned out the way you thought they were going to turn out, but let's look for the pattern. Let's figure it out. And when I was energetically scanning him, I felt like, oh, okay, here we are. When I suggested the idea that he may be afraid of success and maintaining that success, of course, he thought I'd lost my mind. And then I went on to explain that it felt like there was just too high of a bar for success, and he was avoiding being successful in the things he chose. And I then asked him, what did your family want you to be when you were growing up? Because I could feel the pressure. It turned out that they wanted him to be in a profession that would be seen as, high esteem. So, successful businessman, doctor, engineer. I know what it is, but I'm not going to say what it is. It was definitely at that level, and he didn't want that. It didn't line up for him. This is a man gifted with store management and food management and everything, gifted. That stuff's not easy. I know people make it look easy, but it's not. When I suggested that we use some conscious circuitry work to get rid of the idea of what his probably well-meaning parents wanted and society wanted from him, because he is very intelligent and could have done it, but it would have either not worked out because he had to sabotage in some way unknowingly, or he just would have been miserable. So when we talked about that, we could then come up with a plan for him to begin the step to identifying what success looked like for him, not a measurement of where attention was being placed by other people, but a measurement of where his attention could be placed. And then he could point his energy there. Because once you have an idea of where you're headed, it's so much easier to go, hence the compass, right? I've said it before. I am someone that needs GPS in my car. I am so grateful to everyone who figured out how to make that readily available to me, because it is not my gift. You want to find direction in your life? You want to know where your due north is? I am your gal. You want to know how to get to Route 5 in Schenectady, which I just realized there's a Route 5 in West Springfield. In my head, every time I went to Schenectady, thought I was in West Springfield, and that's why I couldn't figure things out. So my attention was pointed at Route 5, but it wasn't accurate because it wasn't the same road system. I don't know if it's the same road, if it eventually runs over there or not, but I was in a totally different town, but my head wasn't. The point is where you put your attention. Once I realized that, I was actually going through an intersection of Route 5 and 7 or whatever it is over there. See, I don't know the other one either. I realized that my body was in one place, but my head was in another. And I said to Mike, I need to focus my head to where I am right now, and then I will know where I'm going. And he's basically got Rand McNally in his head. He has internal GPS, which makes us a good pair. But once I did that and I explained to him, my attention was being placed in Schenectady, but my energy and my head were in West Springfield, and that wasn't working out well for me. So the idea of success is the same thing. Where is your attention being placed? And is it being placed there because someone else placed it there? And you don't even have an idea of what success in this moment would feel like or look like. So pausing is very important. It's multifaceted. It's always going to be multifaceted and it's always going to be moving. But we don't have to chase success. Often when you pause, you feel the success in the moment. I don't know if you've ever grown vegetables or a plant, but when that little green stuff pokes through the dirt, I challenge anyone to say they didn't feel like they were the most powerful being on the planet because they assisted that in happening. That is the feeling that I'm talking about. That feeling of I did I contributed to that. I rock. I believe that we should celebrate getting the laundry done or cleaning out a junk drawer or balancing the checkbook or whatever else is so ridiculously mundane that it will lead to the success that is above mundane. And then once you're practiced in that, you want more, you do want more, but you can create a balance because you recognize it really can be about the I don't want to call it small things because they're not small. It can be about the daily. It can be about the most present moment. We are getting a lot of snow. Actually, we're supposed to get a lot tomorrow too. And this year we just moved and I bought a snowblower. And Mike said, we don't need one. We don't need one. I'm like, we do because I could feel the winter coming that we're having currently. And I also didn't want to shovel. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Don't want to do it. Been doing it since I was 10. Don't want to do it. Bought a snowblower, using that snowblower and powering it up. I had used one decade ago, but powering it up and remembering how to do it, I felt invincible. And when I came in, I was flying high. I'm like, this is the feeling of success I want everyone to feel. And I want it to be so readily available. And we're congratulating everybody about it because that's where we heal. And that's where we get to feel embraced by the possibility of the universe. Success is not opposite of failure. I know the construct of failure to be like you didn't get something right, but there is absolutely no way to have success without something not lining up or being perfect. And that definition, we're just going to rewrite all the dictionaries by the time I'm done here, but there is no way to experience a success without trying it over and over again. Like if you have ever held a plank when you first start, 15 seconds, man, will feel like you're there for 3 hours. And then eventually you can add 15 seconds more, 15 seconds more. I once saw somebody do a 9-minute plank. That blew my mind. Your gal here is about a minute 15 and then she's tapping out. So there will have to be some falling on your face out of that plank. So maybe you're creating a product and you do it 185 times and 186 is when it succeeds. Well, that's not failure. None of those were failures. Each one gave you more information to change the recipe, change the formula, change the doohickey on the thingamabob. And then that gave you the information to do it a slightly different way. In those moments of recognition, if you can keep yourself from going to judgment and you can keep your brain from going and getting everybody else's opinion, you will get to feel that feeling of being lit up and proud of yourself and successful. And you won't care that it took 186 tries. You will only care that you got there. So we're not necessarily wired to feel that joy within ourselves because, again, we're still kind of cave people, knuckle dragging it out here, and we're wired for survival. But we can change that wiring, we can shift it. And I know we are doing that. And this is just a more concrete way of doing it. So each time something doesn't work out, and please, if you work with kids, stress this to them that that's okay. We got information, but then ask them, what information did we get? If The way they did it did not quote unquote work. That's okay. What information do we have? And most of us have been, until we become aware, rushing through life chasing happiness. I have a totally clean house, then I'll be happy and feel successful. I'll be a great mom if my kids never do anything that causes them or myself embarrassment. We'll give that up right now because they're going to, but they're going to because they have to express and figure out what success means to them. So we're never quite going to get, oh, I don't want to be depressing about this, but whenever you achieve and you feel that uh, lit up energy in yourself, it's eventually going to dissipate because from a soul perspective, we always want to experience more. Did you hear what I said? Experience more, not have more, not go collect more crap, not have more things to take care of, but to actually feel lit up. It's going to ebb and flow because it is not possible to stay in that place. And actually, toxic positive, let me try that again. Toxic positivity will keep you from attaining any level of success in whatever area you're striving for because you have to have truth. You have to say, well, that freaking sucked. I mean, I've developed courses that went and they just did not land well. At the time, I was frustrated, a little confused because I was guided by spirit to create the course. And now I recognize, oh, I was probably just about 5 years too early. So, hey, keep your eyes open because there's some courses coming out. But if I was to always stay in that, this is going to work, this is going to work, this is going to work, I would never feel any level of joy or energy contributing in my work. And for many of us, arriving in that understanding that I want to feel joy, I want to feel happiness, I want to feel my cells are all so excited to be human. That is a state of moment, a state of mind. It is not a place that you can remain in all the time. And if you know someone that's always up, we need to be hugging them and asking them, are there any moments where they're not feeling that? Because it could be some avoidance there. Your soul is expressing through you and it wants to experience everything in this human go round. So that's sadness, that's anger, that's disappointment, that's anxiety, frustration, discomfort mostly, because that's where it's the opportunity to change and showing you something different than how you typically do it. So your soul is wanting to express that. And by paying attention to that, you would get the next level of intuitive success, but also physical success. I don't want success to continue being this pursuit of perfection because it's burning everybody out. It's not necessary. It's not necessary and it's not possible. It's a burden. It actually lacks an inherent relationship to one experiencing themselves as successful. Because if you're feeling like you have to chase something or always be in perfectionism, then you don't believe yourself to be capable of success. And to that, I would point out areas that you've been successful, but I would also work with someone to feel accepting of who they are in that moment and in their time of life. Because this idea of perfectionism, Instagram worthy world is where a lot of the anxiety is coming from. Someone's not being present. And when you're anxious, you're often living in the past, but also living in the fear of the future. What if they find out I'm not perfect? Newsflash, none of us are. So success is not pursuit of perfection. However, it has been parlayed as that to some of us. It will keep changing. It will not remain stagnant. Like I mentioned earlier, my idea of success has changed. It has always been because I had to be about money. And in the last 5 years, 6 no, 4 years, 4 to 5 years, that has changed, and my business is changing as a result of that, because in the pursuit of money, I worked way too many hours, and although I love my work, I was exhausted and, basically couch potato like when I finished catatonic on Friday nights because I was just so exhausted. And at some point, I was like, this cannot be. This is not what I want to see when I croak and I look at my life review. I do not want to see me passed out on the couch, flicking through the TV because I'm so exhausted because I gave everything out and I forgot to have a life. I forgot to be playful. I've experienced in the shift of this and why I want to help everyone understand where their success is. Yes, it can come with a monetary concept. I want it to for everybody. I want all of you to be in whatever your level of financial comfort is. But for me, I had to make a really scary choice to back off of a lot of the intuitive readings in order to focus more on the executive coaching and the products that I'm creating because success to me changed. It became about my body feeling good. It became about my being able to connect with my own guides and to have conversations with spirit and to develop my own intuition further rather than staying on this, treadmill of pounding out reading after reading. And I also wanted everyone to feel their own success. In my experience, if I did standard intuitive readings, I would be telling someone what their life is about. And I don't want that anymore. My success level is being able to work collaboratively with someone so that they feel success within themselves. And then they get to depend on their own intuition. I went through an experience, and you'll hear a podcast of that coming up shortly with the amazing Carol LeBlanc, who developed a system called financial forecasting. And I took her class and I've been doing it in my business. And my numbers are not where they were, that have a 6-figure business and you'll be successful. I had that. I was exhausted. I was miserable. My back kept going out. I had shoulder issues. Like my body was telling me this is way too much and out of alignment. So now when I look at my numbers and I'm making enough to support myself and my business, but the excess is not there, I feel so successful because I have lined up with where Vicky is best serving of herself and others. And when that financial forecasting thing comes out, I had to beforehand, I offered to do it and I saw it as a challenge to myself because well, of course, I wanna make more money, and I will, but this pause that I took to really get clear on what success means to me, I challenged myself to do the financial forecasting and have my numbers out there so that you can see it is entirely possible to, live in a way that I can buy groceries, but we're not planning a big trip anytime soon. But it doesn't matter because 'cause I'm happy and I feel successful and less stressed as I make this shift in my business, and it's always been important to me to be a model of what alignment looks like for me so that others, hopefully trust me to lead them to alignment in themselves. And what success also looks like for me is, am I paying attention? Am I reading my own compass? Because duh. It'd be kinda dumb to have a podcast called this and not read my own compass, and my compass was pointing me towards experiencing my day to day in a way that I could genuinely love again the work that I do. That expression, "Just because 'cause you're good at it doesn't mean you have to do it." Yeah. So, what is successful to me? Did I read something today? Did I sing? Did I move my body? Did I express my gratitude? Have I been kind? Did I pay my bills? Am I able to save a little? Can I help others with the amount I've saved? And will I be jumping up and down in spirit joy when I croak and I'm watching my movie screen because I realized that being a human does not mean simply producing and having my value come from what I tell the IRS I brought in. So my question to you, what does success mean to you? That pause was intentional. What does it mean to you? What is important to you? What do you want to see when you watch that life review? What do you want to experience? Do you want to know yourself more? Do you want to trust yourself more? Do you want to tap into your intuition to do both of those things? Know yourself more and trust yourself more. Are you doing income producing work that you like? And I know I have been in positions, I've always liked what I did, but I can understand being in the position of, no, Vicky, I actually just have to support my kids, and this is what I'm doing right now. I still think there's wiggle room there. And if you don't need to make an income, okay, this still applies. Are you creating something of yourself to share with the universe? I didn't say the world. This is not about you making something to share with a product or a service or entertainment. I said with the universe. If you are someone who is in the place in their life where maybe you have retirement and you are not in that income producing place, are you gardening because you like to garden? Are you playing pickleball? Are you volunteering to read newspapers for the vision impaired? Are you doing something that creates a feeling of contribution and success within yourself to then contribute to the universe? Because we need you. This universe works because we all contribute to it in some way. And if not, how can you change that? We are not stuck in our situations. We can believe we are, but there's always a little bit of wiggle room. And you know my statement, micro movements matter. They especially matter when we're talking about success. Excuse me. Your soul came into your body to experience the success of being humanly integrated. We all have that in common. And that's why listening to your intuition is so important. And your soul will guide you to what's important for you. And yes, it's going to change because you grow, you learn, you expand. And that's okay. That is also success. But if you're having a challenge with this or you don't know where to start, you can head over to my website. And right now I have 10 bundles up there that will help guide you to you. Each of them a standalone topic, but they're all about guiding you to your own intuition, guiding you to your knowledge. There's one there called Work Success, and it's about a vision. It's about creating a vision of what type of work that you would like to do. And yes, I used work because that's what we call it. So I'm not going to do woo-woo statements around this. But I truly believe that you can have work you love and have an amazing income and have the joy and success of being a soul in a human body. It's all possible. It's all possible. It's so exciting. That's what is success for Vicky, at least at this point. It's bound to change. Things are going to move around because that's what we do in life. We grow and we expand. And I so appreciate you listening to this slightly longer podcast this week. And feel free to drop me a line. Let me know what you're doing, what success means to you. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review because that does help in promoting the show and lead to the success of the numbers. Ba-dum-bum. I hope you have a great day, week, month, year, infinity, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I appreciate you being here. If you would like more information about developing your intuitive skills, removing those blocks, and creating the life that feels the most successful to you, then head on over to vickybaird.com. That's VICKIBAIRD.com, and check out the courses, the groups, and the Spaces app that will allow you to be part of our community and know about upcoming events and specials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.